Okie dokie. See if we can't find the stream. Shouldn't be too far away, hopefully. There it is there. So stream's up. Audio is working. Hello Twitch Ed, how do you do? Alright, chat's up as well. Hello Abud, nice to see you. Everything is working as it should be, which is absolutely fantastic. Hello everyone, and welcome to round 11 of the AM1 Championship here on Contest of Speed. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at Suzuka International Racing Course for the Japanese Grand Prix. Opened in 1962, this 3.6 mile, 18 turn circuit is an old-fashioned, brutal racetrack that tests the driver's skill and punishes them for even the slightest mistake. The drivers have to face one of the trickiest S sections in the world, formed by turns 3 through 7. It's narrow, it's fast, there's auto-spin curbs dotted throughout, and there's no tarmac runoff. Instead, there's grass and gravel, so the drivers cannot afford to make a mistake, otherwise they'll more than likely end up in the barrier. It's a similar story with turn 8 Stegner curve and turns 13 and 14 spoon curve. Both areas also have been hotspots for accidents during Grand Prix. It's also quite difficult to pass here, with the only realistic opportunities being turn 1 with the help of DRS and the tight hairpin of turn 11. So the drivers will need to get as far up the field as possible during qualifying in anticipation for a tough race. Speaking of which, we have overcast conditions for both qualifying and the race, but we shouldn't see any wet weather. Hopefully, with it being nice and dry, we get to see some entertaining stuff out on track. But before we fully focus on qualifying, there is a little bit of news to go through first from the previous round in France. And there's the first bit of news, actually. Someone's been disqualified. Gabri has been caught blocking the pit lane, and they've been disqualified from the session, so guess Gabri will be starting from the back. Not totally sure what that's about, but there we go. And we get everything up as well. There we are. But, yes, from the previous round in France, there were no incident reports from last week, which is really good to see. And, it's good to hear as well that Barmer managed to get his 20-second time penalty removed after that dramatic ending that we got at Circuit Paul Ricard. So that will make Barmer 22 the winner of the French Grand Prix. Looking at the standings in the Drivers' Championship, Barmer is leading the way on 143 points, followed by Rick Dalton on 108. So Barmer's got a pretty comfortable lead at the moment. Andy Wu is third on 90 points, followed by Nicholas Latifi on 76. Cameron is next on 69, followed by Mitch Burns on 63. And it's a tie between Elliott and NoCap, both on 40 points, and P-Dog Payton in 9th place on 39. Then it's a tie for 11th place. Burzy and JD, the two full-time Alfa Romeo drivers, both on 31 points. In the Constructors, McLaren are leading on 191, followed by Williams on 148. So McLaren a healthy lead in the Constructors' Championship as well. Red Bull are next, just 3 points behind on 145, followed by Ferrari on 124. Mercedes are 5th on 85, followed by Alfa Romeo on 70. They're in a tight fight with Alpine and Aston Martin, but as well as Haas. 4 teams separated by 9 points, so Alfa Romeo on 70, Alpine on 69, Aston Martin on 65, and Haas on 61. At the bottom of the table, we have AlphaTauri on 20 points. Oh, I see, Gabri. So you had technical issues. That's all right, then. Well, at least you didn't impede anyone with that. So hopefully you get that fixed for the start of the race. Got a few lap times on the board already. We got Barmer 22 setting the fastest time with a 28.9. Got a few other drivers on flying laps. Just a note as well, both drivers have set their times on the medium compound tyre. We can see a few drivers attempting to set times on the mediums, as I think Cameron has just joined the session and he's now behind the wheel of his Red Bull. So he missed out on a few minutes in this qualifying session, but that's alright. He's here now. That's the main thing. Game Boy's going around the spoon curve, turns 13 and 14. You have to be very, very careful with turn 14. That inside curve is quite nasty, as Rick Dalton has just jumped up to pole position with a 1 minute 28.921. So there's 0.07 of a second separating the top two. Out of 130R goes Elite Game Boy up towards the Casio Triangle, this tight chicane of turns 16 and 17. Around the final corner, turn 18. Up towards the line for Game Boy. It's a 1 minute 29.9. Goes fourth quickest on the soft tyre. Well, Waiamave just went and did a bit of rallycross on the outside of turn 7. That's Dunlop Curve, the end of the S section in the opening sector. Really, really tough S section, I have to say. It's one of the toughest on the Formula 1 schedule. And that final part of the S section, turn 7, it's incredibly nasty. There's an inside curb there that's rather tall. You ride on it awkwardly, and you have a chance of doing that, retiring from the section. Cameron's just retired. What happened? Vermoo, maybe? You're coming up towards the scene. He's in the wall at turn 2. Vermoo's slowing down as he's completed a flying lap. He's third at the moment with a 29.6. Where is that Red Bull? Can't see it. Where are you? Where's the... I couldn't see where the Red Bull was. Can't see it there either. Where did he go? Looked absolutely everywhere for him, but I couldn't see him. Well, Cameron's out of qualifying, so he'll be starting at the back as well. Unless we see any more drivers retire early from this qualifying session. It's just a bit odd. Lay getting ready to set a flying lap. He's making his way towards the middle sector. Seems here that Kitten Petter is about to start a flying lap. We'll see how he fares. He's coming through the Casio Triangle, nice and steady. Don't want to lose the back end here. You want to get as much power down as... Oh, no, he's not going to attempt a flying lap. I thought he might have been doing a second preparation lap. I was wrong. He's just going to go back into the pits. Fair enough, I suppose. Fistbuster's about to set a flying lap. Waiamave's in the middle of one. Vermoo is not on a flying lap, it seems. He's not consuming any battery. Alright, Fistbuster, we'll use you to give us a guided tour of this old-fashioned racetrack. Coming out to the chicane around the final corner. Taking a nice wide line to try and maximise the top speed down the pit straightaway. The car leaving a pit lane, I think it's from Williams. Hopefully they won't impede Fistbuster's lap. Around turn 1, then turn 2. Gets a nice exit there. Now into the tricky S section. Turns 3, 4. Miss the apex at turn 3. Around turn 5. Into turn 6. Down to 4th gear. Back up to 5th. Now the treacherous turn 7. You want to avoid that inside curve as best you can. And Fistbuster does a pretty nice job of it. Up towards the Degner curve, turn 8, really fast, right-hand kink, into turn 9, 4th gear, back on the power, underneath the bridge, heading towards the kink of turn 10, and then the tight hairpin of turn 11, and it's KD, as Fistbuster locks up into the hairpin, maybe a bit distracted from KD there, sitting at the hairpin, around 200R, this very fast right-hander that leads into the spoon curve, turns 13 and 14. It's a nice exit in 5th gear, using a healthy amount of outside curb. Now heading down towards the most famous corner of the racetrack, 130R. It's absolutely flat out in the dry, and thankfully it's going to be dry in the race as well, because 130R in the wet is quite a dangerous corner. Through the chicane, turns 16 and 17. Around the final corner, turn 18. Up towards the line for Buster. What's the time? It's a 29.4. Third quickest with that time. And he's, I believe, the second quickest out of the medium runners. Yeah, Barmer set a time on the mediums earlier on in this qualifying session. Did a 28.9 on a set of mediums. He's now on a set of soft tyres. Doesn't appear to be he's on a flying lap right now. He might be on a preparation lap. Rick Dalton here is definitely on a flying lap. He's making his way through turns 1 and 2 up towards the S section. He loses the back end briefly, but he catches it well through turn 4 into turn 5, then turn 6. Keeps it in 5th gear, doesn't bother to use 4th, short shifting to 6th gear even, then 7th gear. As he heads up towards the first sector split, the clock says for Rick Dalton, says he's up by 1/10 of a second. Around turn 9, as Mitch Burns jumps up to the top, beating Dalton's time by 0.03 of a second. He's done a 1 minute 28.918, beating Dalton's time a 1 minute 28.921. Very tight at the top, but Dalton's set to improve. Andy Wu has crossed the line to go 5th quickest with a 29.5. He's just a 10th and a half behind Fistbuster. Exiting Spoon Curve. Down towards... Oh, hello. That Fistbuster getting out of the way. That Haas completely caught me off guard. Just came out of nowhere. Dalton up by 5.5 tenths to the middle sector. He's looking to improve and improve by quite a bit. Out of the chicane. Around the final corner. Absolutely flat out. He keeps it nice and narrow as well. 1 minute 28.275. A massive improvement from Dalton, and he takes pole position back. They're back into the pit. Sandy Wu, I think he's on an in-lap. Vermoo. Looks like he's still pushing. Hard to tell with the battery. No, he's not. Oh, he is consuming battery. So I do believe he is on a push lap. We'll see what the first sector says for Vermoo. Is it an improvement? It is by 1.5 tenths. A healthy improvement. Lead Game Boy getting off the road there to let Vermoo through. Around turn 10 into turn 11. It's tight hairpin. It's a potential overtaking spot, as I mentioned earlier. It was an overtaking spot used to full effect by Kamui Kobayashi during the 2012 Japanese Grand Prix, where he got his only podium finish in Formula 1. Now turned himself into quite the sports car driver for Toyota. Heading down towards 130 of Vermoo. What does the middle sector say for the Mercedes driver? It says he's up by 0.2 of a second. With that sort of improvement, he could try and challenge the top 5, but he needs to nail this short final sector. 2nd gear. Or cutting a lot there, but he does invalidate. Oh dear. He cut just that little bit too much through the chicane. Oh, and you can see Game Boy with no front wing on his Alpine. As KD is using bit of the extra pit lane entry that you don't normally use to try and get out of the way of other drivers. Blacks doesn't appear to be on a flying lap. Saint, I believe, is on an in lap. He's currently P2 with a 1 minute 28.8. 5.5 tenths off Dalton's time. So Dalton well and truly in front of everyone at the moment. Still, we've got a few drivers yet to set lap times. JD, Kittenpetter, Lopez, and Nicholas Latifi. They're still in this qualifying session. All of them have been unable to set a legal lap time. You really don't want to be starting towards the back here at Suzuka. Really tough track to pass. You need to be as far forward as possible towards the pointy end of the field to have any shot of winning this race. Unless we get a real drama fest here at Suzuka. See plenty of safety cars, which is entirely possible with this racetrack. Blade getting ready. Vermoo getting ready. Fistbuster, Barmer. Mitch Burns as well. So the first of these guys to attempt to set a flying lap will be Blade. He's making his way towards 130R, and we've got just over 4 minutes left in qualifying. So we're starting to get towards the business end of this session. Alright, Blade, let's see what you can do through the Casio chicane, or the Casio triangle, as it's actually called. Around the final corner and onto the main straightaway. First thing has to tackle turns 1 and 2. It's a very tricky, complex. The opening 2 corners of the racetrack, really fast approach. Have to bring it down to 4th gear, just under 100 miles an hour is the apex speed at turn 2. through 3, through 4, into turn 5, the left-hander, around the right-hander of turn 6. Keeps it in 5th gear, around turn 7, 6th gear. Uses no outside curb, kept the car on the grey stuff. First sector says for Blade, it says he's up by 2.5 tenths. Into turn 9. Underneath the bridge, heading towards the hairpin now. Around the kink of turn 10, now the hairpin of turn 11. Down to 3rd gear, then 2nd. Short shifting back up to 3rd. Nice exit there from Blade. Kept that car nice and steady on the exit. Around 200R, heading towards Spoon Curve. Turns 13 and 14. Down to 5th gear for turn 13. Keeping it in 5th. Gently back on the power. Using a healthy amount of outside curb. But more importantly, that car looks nice and stable at the moment. No twitches, no mistakes so far. And look at that, he's up by 7.5 tenths. That's a massive improvement. Into the Casio triangle. Down to 3rd gear. Keeps it in 3rd for the chicane. Around the final corner. Keeping it nice and narrow. He'll cross the line to set a 29.3. Goes 5th quickest. Improving by 2 seconds. Barmer. Coming towards the end of the flying lap. He's up by 2 tenths of a second. What does the middle sector say? He's up by 4.5 tenths to the middle sector. He needs to improve by a few more tenths to try and challenge Dalton. Into the chicane. Turns 16 and 17. 4th gear. He short shifts to try and get as much traction down to the road as possible. Useless camera angle there. And he goes to P2 with a 1 minute 28.4. I don't understand why Cody thought this camera angle was a great idea. You only get to see the driver's helmet and nothing else. And you can only barely see the helmet because of the massive halo in the way. Mitch Burns comes up to the line, goes 4th quickest with a 1 minute 28.649. He's currently 33 thousandths of a second behind this man, Fistbuster. Laid on an in-lap, I think, or at least on a cool-down lap. KD. You want a flying lap, bud? No, you're not. You're on a preparation lap, it seems. He's currently 10th with a 30.1. Black's going slowly as well. Nicholas Latifi hasn't validated his lap. Oh, and he's got front wing damage too. So Latifi won't be setting a lap time here. He'll be qualifying over for Nicholas. He'll be starting towards the back. Lopez also yet to start a lap time. KD's decided to bail out of qualifying. He goes back into the pits and retires. Lopez around 130R heading towards the Casio triangle. Needs to get through here without cutting too much of the racetrack, and he does exactly that. Kept it very tidy indeed. Around the final corner up towards the line. It's a 1:28.7. Goes 6th quickest with that time. Really, really nice recovery there from Lopez. Ooh, JD getting off the racetrack, trying to get out of everybody's way, it seems. Blade has retired from the session. Kitten Petter. Have you got enough time to set a lap time? I can't tell with the yellow flag indicator in the way. Yeah, he's got time. He's got 16 seconds right now. He should be able to set one flying lap if he keeps the car on the track, of course. Which Burns, his qualifying's done, it seems. Same with Lopez. Saint, he's making his way out of Spoon Curve. He's not using any battery, so his qualifying session is done. Andy Wu, meanwhile, Kitten Petter's teammate, is up by half a second to the middle sector. Out of the chicane, around the final corner. He then bails. Interesting. Bails out of that flying lap. Elite Game Boy. He's up by 4/10 of a second to the middle sector, around 130R. Heading towards the final chicane. Brings it down to 3rd gear, then down to 2nd. Keeps it in 2nd gear on the exit. Keeps it nice and narrow around the final corner. Up towards the line for Game Boy. He improves by 4/10. Stays 10th quickest with a 29.5. Kitten Petter. And it seems he's not on a aggressive flying lap either. He's not using any battery. So Petter is not going to set a competitive time here, it seems. See what he sets, or what he does at the very least. Vermou's retired in the pit lane as well, and I'm pretty sure this is qualifying over. Blacks comes up to the line. Hang on. What's Black's going to do? P8 in the AlphaTauri with a 29.1. Kittenpetter does a 30.7. 13th quickest. Bit confused why he wasn't using any battery on that lap, though. I mean, he starts outside the top 10, so he gets a free choice of tyre, but yeah, I'm a bit lost. There we are. Qualifying over, and it's Rick Dalton on pole position. With a 1 minute 28.275, he beats Barmer by just over a tenth. The McLaren driver will start P2. Vermeer P3 in the Mercedes-Benz, followed by Fistbuster and Mitch Burns. That's the top 5. Lopez will start P6, followed by Saint, Blacks and Blade. All the Ecos drivers lining up in a row. That's very cool to see. And then Andy Wu, starting 10th. That's why he didn't complete that flying lap. That time he set there 29.5. He did that on the medium, so he's going to try and start on the medium compound tyre. Outside the top 10, we have Elite Game Boy, KD, Kittenpetter 13th, then JD, then Waiamave, Nicholas, Cameron, and Gabri. 3 drivers unable to set lap times. So both Red Bulls starting towards the back of the field. They've got a lot of work to do. Yeah, it seemed like a Petter. No battery use whatsoever, just let the ICE do all the talking. Oh. Right, race time. See, there's plenty of cloud cover here, but we shouldn't see any wet weather, but with F1 2021, you just never know. Just never know. Oh, you can see the cars bouncing about on the grid as well. If you look at the bottom right of your screen, you can see all the cars. They're very excited to race. They're jumping around in their excitement. Very strange. The drivers will be deciding what kind of strategy to go with. Now, it's been a while since I've done a race here at Suzuka, but I'm going to assume the strategy is going to be something along the lines of soft medium or medium soft. And that's the typical strategy at any racetrack on F1 2021. There's very few racetracks that isn't a soft medium or medium soft. So you reckon, Connor? Well, I suppose here in this particular racetrack in wet weather conditions, naturally you back off a bit and you try and stay away from the curbs, because there's a lot of curbs here in dry conditions that can quite easily screw you over. It's not fun. Okie dokie. Let's see. Well, there you go. Soft hards. Alright, so it might be, might not be a soft medium race. Yep, curbs equals depth. It's a very simple equation, and it works perfectly here at Suzuka. Curbs equals depth. They always do. Don't need telemetry. We need details. That's right. Get rid of the interval for now. So, in terms of our starting order, the top 9 are going to be starting on the soft compound tyre that they used during qualifying. Andy Wu is the only driver inside the top 10 who'll be starting on the medium tyre. Elite Game Boy P11 is starting on fresh softs. KD starting P12 on fresh mediums. Same with Kittenpetter in P13. JD starting P14 is on fresh softs. Same with Waiamave, but he's teleported himself back onto the grid, so his tyres are probably going to be stone cold for the start of this race, and that's not ideal. The 2 Red Bulls of Latifi and Cameron are starting on the mediums, and Gabri starting from the back, also on the medium tyres. So we've got 6 drivers on the mediums. That means we've got 12 on the soft tyre. So it's a healthy mix. 1/3 mediums, 2/3 softs. 0/3 hards. No one's starting on the hard tyre. Dalton trying to get a bit of temperature in these tyres and brakes. Getting ready for the start of the Grand Prix. Get rid of the tyre graphic for now. We'll bring back up the interval graphic for the start of the Grand Prix. Got 27 laps in front of us here at Suzuka. 27 laps can feel like an eternity just because of how difficult this racetrack can be. And it can feel even longer if we have any safety cars, which around here is a pretty common occurrence, if I'm honest. This is a horrible camera angle. That's better. That's 10 times better. You can see the cars lining up onto the grid. So Dalton starting on the outside. He has the clean side of the racetrack, so theoretically he should get a better start. But if Barber gets a nice start, he has the inside line for turn 1. And hopefully they don't center and Prost it. They are first and second in the championship, but I hope they don't center and Prost it. But here we go. We got 10 red lights, and we are underway here at Suzuka, and I think it's a nice start from Barber. Here we go, down to turn 1. It's a really nice start from Lopez. Dalton covers. Into turn 1 we go. It's Dalton who leads. Barber in second, then Vermeulen. Side-by-side action here in the middle of the top 10. As they head towards the S section for the first time. The drivers just trying to sort themselves out. Trying to not have an accident through turn 5 into turn 6. Andy Wu already losing a little bit of time on those medium tyres. Yellow flags about. Not totally sure what that was for. Everyone seems to be behaving themselves at the moment. Around the Degner curve, turn 8 towards turn 9. See Kitten Petter right on the back of KD, who loses the back end at turn 9. Petter's got to run, but he's got nowhere to go. JD, though, can he find a way by? He's looking to the inside into the hairpin. Oh, and Kitten Petter, rather, keeps the position on that outside line. JD just didn't have enough speed down the inside to commit to the move. Oh, running a tad bit wide. But all in all, a fairly timid start. Everyone's gone through all right. We saw yellow flags briefly, and I've noticed as well that Gabri is now 8.7 seconds back. So, and off the road goes Andy Wu and KD. They're at 130R. Fortunately, nothing major came of it. There goes a bollard flying off at the bottom left of screen. So, Gabri, front wing looks okay, so they might have just had a spin. We'll see in just a few moments if they will box. No, they'll stay out. Fair enough. They've got a lot of catching up to do. Over 10 seconds, or just under 10 seconds behind the next car. So Dalton leads with a 5.5 margin over Barber. Vermeulen in third. Saints overtaking Blacks. Yellow flags out again. It's Nicholas Latifi in the Red Bull. He has spun out, and he's in the gravel trap at turn 6. Rejoined safely, and there goes Gabri into 17th place. Dalton trying to pull away. He's got a 7/10 margin, make that 8/10 margin to Barber as they head around 200R. Barber needs to stay within a second of the Williams driver. He cannot let him drive away. Vermeulen's losing a bit of time to the top 2 as well. Mitch Burns in 4th, then Fistbuster, Saint, Blacks, Lopez, Blade. These gaps are fairly even between all the cars. This is one of the closest gaps between Andy Wu and Elite Game Boy. As I said, that Game Boy actually lost a considerable amount of time to the Ferrari driver at the exit of the Spoon Curve. Heading around 130R. Cameron, Waiamave, look at that, nose to tail as they head towards the chicane. Down the inside goes the Aston. They're side by side contact. Off the road goes the Aston. Oh dear, and into the pits goes Cameron. Must have got front wing damage from that. Half a second now separating the top 2. It's 1.4 separating P2 and 3, so Vermeulen has lost a considerable amount of time. Oh, and now Barber's starting to lose time through the S section. He lost about 4/10 to Dalton. Yellow flags out again. It's Andy Wu, the man who was 3rd in the championship. There goes Waiamave into 14th. 3rd in the championship on 90 points. He is spun out in the middle sector. So has Nicholas Latifi. Oh. This day for Red Bull is getting worse and worse. Honda would not approve. 1 second between the top two. Right now, Dalton, he has the opportunity to try and drive away from Barmer. Down the long straightaway towards 130R. Can Barmer close the gap? Has he got better straight line speed in that McLaren? Doesn't appear to have any more straight line speed. They're both pretty even down that long straightaway. So Barmer won't get any DRS down the main straight. Neither will Vermeulen. That may leave him vulnerable to the cars behind as Saint. Oh, what the? He was off the road. And then he teleported back to 6th. Uh-oh. That's, Nicholas Latifi spinning out. Oh, and he's got wing damage as well. Kittenpetter letting JD through into 12th place. KD and League Game Boy battling as well. This is for P10. Through the S section, you can't do much through here. You have to follow the leader and try and not lose too much time. Meanwhile, the battle for 3rd, Vermeulen, Mitch Burns, Fistbuster and Saint, who I weirdly saw off the racetrack but then teleported back to 6th. Into the hairpin. Turn 11. Mitch can't do too much that far back. Just needs to keep up with Vermeulen. Try and set some consistent lap times. Try and challenge the Mercedes driver. Around turn 13, around turn 14, the gap is 6.5 tenths. Nicholas Latifi is in the pit lane as well. As I mentioned earlier, he got wing damage with his shunt at the spoon curve. So he's got his front wing fixed, and I think he won't get lapped. That's a really critical thing, that he doesn't get lapped. The moment you get lapped, it's pretty much race over for you. Look at this camera angle. I don't know why it's in the game, but it is. Completely useless. Fistbuster closing in. Not by enough though to challenge into turn 1. It doesn't go for a move at turn 2 either. So we've got some pretty tight racing at this stage, but no one's really in a position to attack anyone at this point in the race. Kittenpetter's just lost a chunk of time to JD as well. He was within a second. He's now 1.3 behind. Go back up to this battle for P3. Up towards the hairpin. Guayamave, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That's the first 3-second time penalty of the race. That's yellow flags again, and that is Nicholas Latifi again. Well, I think this just might be race over. Here comes the leaders. Latifi having a horrible day in the office here at Suzuka. Here comes Vermeulen and the rest of the train arriving through 130R, heading towards the chicane on turn 16 and 17. Mitch Burns closes up by a lot under brakes. There goes Nicholas, and he might retire from the race. Nicholas gave Vermeulen DRS. That might keep Mitch Burns at bay, and there goes Nicholas retiring. Covers the inside Vermeulen, keeps Mitch Burns in 4th. Around turn 2, heading towards the S section now. Turn 3, 4, into turn 5. See Mitch losing a little bit of time thanks to the dirty air coming off the Mercedes-Benz. Around turn 7. Fistbuster very, very close behind Mitch Burns, but he's unable to get through. Around the Degner curve, around turn 9. Mitch runs wide. Here's the opportunity Fistbuster needs to try and mount a move. Around the outside he's looking. He's committing to it as well. He'll get better traction on the exit. They're now side by side, heading around 200R. Now towards the spoon curve. Can Mitch keep the fight alive? The answer is no. Fistbuster is through into 4th. Down towards 130R now. Can Fistbuster find a way by Vermeulen? Close in by a little bit here. The Haas seems to have slightly better straight line speed compared to the Mercedes of Vermeulen. Through the chicane, nice and easy, very tidy from Fistbuster. Around the final corner, 5.5 tenths separating these two. That's going to shrink by quite a bit thanks to DRS. Down towards turn 1. Gap shrinks to 3.5 tenths to 3 tenths to 2.5 tenths. So they go around turn 2. Through the S section, turns 3, 4, then turn 5. Into 6. Fistbuster losing a bit of time. I mentioned earlier, Fistbuster was closing in on the straights. I suppose with what's happening through the S section, means that Vermeulen's got slightly taller wings, and he's able to carry more speed through the intense S section. Into the hairpin, turn 11. This is where Fistbuster will close the gap through these flat out corners. With his lower wings, he'll have a slightly higher top speed compared to Vermeulen. Look at that, he's now just 4 tenths behind. But he loses time through the spoon curve thanks to his lack of downforce, but he gains it back here. He's also using a fair bit of battery. Try and close in. Oh, he's 4 tenths, 3.5 tenths behind. Now 3 tenths as they go through 130R. Got a lot of momentum as he heads through the chicane. He might try and mount an attack here on Vermeulen. Using battery, he opens DRS and he'll close in. And he'll slingshot by with ease. Fistbuster is into third. Around turn 2. Heading towards the S section. This is where Vermeulen will be stronger as KD gets by Blade. JD gets by Game Boy. So KD up to 9th, JD up to 11th. Back down to 12th for JD actually. As Game Boy gets the position back. Yellow flag's about, it's Black's. He's off in the gravel trap. He rejoins safely, but he's now down in 14th place. Another driver being claimed through this S section. Waimave, another 3-second time penalty. We've got a train of cars here. Game Boy, JD, Kitten Petter, and the Aston Martin of Waimave. Into the hairpin, turn 11. JD not in a position to attack here. He'll try and sit in the slipstream of the Alpine. Try and close in if he can. Try and prepare an attack on the next lap. Around spoon curve. That's not what you need to do. He understeers wide. Kitten Petter closes in. Out of spoon curve. Kitten Petter right in the slipstream of the Alfa Romeo. He's not able to close in anymore. JD starting to pull away. He's actually closing in on the Alpine of Elite Game Boy. Through the Casio triangle. Now around the final corner. JD, can he go for it? Can he take 10th place away from Game Boy as Lopez gets a 3-second time penalty? JD looking around the outside of turn 1, gets it done. He's back into 10th. Game Boy. Now he has the job of following JD. A pretty tidy job of it at the moment. Around turn 7, Dunlop curve. See all 4 of those drivers avoiding that inside curve as if it were the plague. You really don't want to touch it. Game Boy cutting too much there at the Degner curve. He gets a 3-second time penalty. Kitten Petter's on the back. The Alpine, can he find a way by? Or he locks up a little bit into the hairpin, but he got the car pulled up nicely, Game Boy. Didn't lose too much time, but he's got Kitten Petter right on the back of him. Oh, and there's the Aston Martin doing a bit of rallycross. What was that? Completely cut the inside of the track there. Not totally sure what that was about. That was quite scary. Look at Vermeulen here. He is right on the back of Fistbuster as Barmer pits. He's going to try and do the undercut. Into the pits goes Vermeulen as well. He's going to try and undercut. Medium tyres at the ready for Vermouth. Barmer, he's onto a medium set of tyres as well. So a few drivers pitting in for new tyres. Kittenpetter down the inside of turn 1. He's now into P7 in front of JD. Game Boy just behind. Same with Waiamave at the back of the train. Who made an interesting shortcut that I've never seen before at turn 12 at 200R. It's definitely a new one. Coming out to Dunlop curve, heading towards Degner curve. Aston's close. Not close enough though. Can he try and mount an assault into the hairpin? He's using battery. Is there going to be a send? No, is the answer. Has to stay behind. Gets a nice exit though. Out to the hairpin. Now around 200R. Trying to follow the Alpine as best he can. Into Spoon curve. JD runs wide. Game Boy hits the inside curb. Loses control, but gathers it up. Waiamave took a wide line to try and avoid the Alpine. He's now got to run to try and overtake him for 9th place. Looking left and right. Back into the slipstream. Through 130R. Game Boy closes in on JD into the chicane. Contact. A little bit of contact between Game Boy and Waiamave. Into the pits goes Mitch Burns, Saint and Blade. There goes Game Boy into the pits. So a few drivers coming in for fresh tyres. Trying to get an undercut on their rivals. Round turn 2. Battle still on between these two. Through the S section. The Aston looks quick. He just can't find a way through. Such is the nature of Suzuka. Out to turn 7. Heading towards the Degner curves. Still not close enough to pass. Running wide though, JD. And that's a Ferrari. It's Andy Wu, I think it is. Another spin. He's in the gravel trap. And he'll rejoin safely, but now down in 15th. Blacks has overtaken. No, Blacks has lost 2 positions. He's on old tyres. I think he might have let them through. Them being Mitch Burns and Saint. Lopez goes through as well. There is Barmer now arriving on the scene. Dalton is into the pits. So this is the critical pit stop for Rick Dalton. Here goes Waiamave side by side through 130R. He gets in front. An audacious move, but he gets it done. Through the chicane. This is costing Barmer just a little bit of time. Into the pits goes JD and Waiamave. Barmer, where does he come out relative to Dalton? There he is. There is Dalton exiting the pits. The gap is under a second. This is the battle for the provisional lead. Through turn 3. Then turn 4. Around turn 5. Oh, look. He touched that inside curb, lost control and gathered it up very nicely. But he has lost a little bit of time. You see he's dumping battery. He's trying to stay within a second of Dalton. We saw when these two were on the soft tyre, Dalton was able to pull away and keep about a 2.5 second margin. I imagine if Barmas doesn't stay within a second, it's going to be a very similar story. During this medium stint, as Cameron sets a new fastest lap of 31.2. But Dalton does have traffic, and it's in the form of Kittenpetter in the Ferrari, currently 3rd. But he's on 11 lap-old medium tyres. How easy will Kittenpetter let Dalton through? Or will he defend? Let's find out. Into the chicane. I think Kittenpetter might let him through here. Yellow flags about. That would be for Blade spinning at Spoon Curve. And here comes Dalton. There's nothing Petter can do about this. Through turn 1, then turn 2. Oh, he's lost control of the car! Dalton has spun through turns 1 and 2. Oh, dear. And that's a reset to circuit. Uh-oh. That might be called up to the stewards. Vermeer has now arrived on the scene. There we go. The man who has led the majority of this race could have just thrown away a race win right there. He's lost control of the car, turns 1 and 2. Fortunately for him, no damage. But he's now 5.5 seconds behind Barmer. Wowee. The race has turned upside down for Rick Dalton. He's now got some catching up to do. Alright, Barmer, he now has to try and get by Kittenpetter. He's closing in down the straightaway towards 130R. I imagine Petter won't fight this too hard either, as Fistbuster pits in to get off his soft tyres onto a set of mediums around the final corner. Here comes Barmer. Pulls out of the slipstream and goes through. Nice, simple move there for Barmer. Dalton now 5.2 seconds behind, so he is closing in. I believe. Actually, no, the gap's about the same. As someone spun, it's Andy Wu again. This time at 130R. Oh, this race. Oh, and he's got front wing damage too. He has to get that fixed. Keeps going from bad to worse. Oh, hello Game Boy and Waiamave. What have you two been up to? These two have had an incident at turns 1 and 2. Brought out yellow flags briefly. The Aston looks alright in terms of damage. Oh, but the Alpine's missing an end plate. How's this going to work? Between these two. Through the Degner curve. And there goes the Aston off the road again. So Game Boy isn't exactly opening up the door to let the Aston Martin through. Now Gabri and Blacks are arriving on the scene too. Through the hairpin of turn 11. Around 200R, heading towards Spoon Curve. Why, Marvey, can he get through? There's the opening he needs. Through he goes into 12th place. You can see there, though, on the front wing of Elite Game Boy, he has got damage, so he will have to pit to get that fixed. Fistbuster's now into 7th place, overtaking Saint. Blacks gets by Game Boy and Gabri, it seems. He's now into 13th place. Yellow flags about. It's Lopez in the other Alpine, as Game Boy gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Lopez rejoins safely, but he's lost a considerable amount of time. Most importantly, he doesn't have any damage, so he can continue on. And he's got plenty of clear air in front of him too now, being 11 seconds back, so he'll be able to try and set some consistent lap times. Barmer closing in on KD as well, I've just noticed. 8-10 separating the top two. So you might see a change in the lead in a few moments. Heading up towards Casio Triangle. 6.5 tenths separating the top two. For Williams' sake, KD needs to put up a fight, but he's not doing that. He's pitting in. He's let Barmer through. Barmer takes the lead. Kittenpetter now into second. Dalton in third. Fistbuster sets a new fastest lap. In 6th position. Make that 5th now after KD's pit stop. So the gap between Dalton and our race leader Barmer is... Oh, as Cameron's retired. That's at Spoon Curve. Will we see a safety car? The answer is yes. So no points for Red Bull. This is a massive blow for them in the Constructors' Championship. And there's Cameron. Race over. This is the opportunity that drivers like Elite, Game Boy and Andy Wu needed to try and recover in this race. They've both gotten into trouble. They're a long, long way back from the leaders. They'll be able to catch up now. Try and make something of this race. Gabri, a new set of soft compound tyres. Game Boy stays out on a set of mediums, and Andy Wu doesn't pit in either. Maybe a wise thing, because if he pits in now, there's a chance he could go a lap down to Barmer. So it's probably best to stay out, do one more lap during these yellow flag conditions, and then pit in for some fresh tyres, because they can pit in for soft tyres like Barmer is doing right now. Kitten Patter in for soft tyres. This is a massive gain for him in terms of strategy. The move. Everybody's pitting in for tyres. KD doesn't. He's got relatively fresh soft tyres, so he can go to the end on those. No trouble. Lopez. Petter's pitted onto the hard tyre. Why? The race was in your grasp. Oh, okay. Well, I'm hazarding a guess the game has screwed him over a little bit here. He might have selected soft tyres, but instead got hards. That is a thing, and I know it's a thing because I've experienced it during a race at Imola where it was raining, but it was only raining for a very short period of time, and I was on a set of mediums, but Jeff kept on calling me in for intermediate tyres. But I knew the rain was going away quite quickly. But I stuck it out on the mediums. A safety car came out, and there was an opportunity. Yes, there was a safety car came out, bunched the field up, the rain stopped, and suddenly I was in second place. And then in my typical fashion, I threw it away at Tamburello and damaged my car. So I had to come into the pits, and the game put me on intermediates when it was dry. I never ever confirmed to switch to intermediate tyres. I never did. I was certain I could make it through the wet bit on mediums and then arrive at the dry bit in a good position. I then screw up all the hard work I put in, and then to rub a bit of extra salt into the wound, the game put me on a set of intermediate tyres when I came in for repairs. So yeah, I don't doubt it that you had it set to softs, Petter, but game do stupid things sometimes. It just it boggles me that at times the game can just override whatever decision you've made on the MFD. Yeah, just silly. Well, best of luck to you anyway. You're gonna need it. Oh, well, yeah. I suppose I get that decision. I mean, you're basically a sitting duck on those hard tyres, but you're now outside of the points. Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation that you were tossed in there. So it's either you had to try and hold on to what you had, which was going to be very difficult on the hard tyre, or rip off the band-aid, get on the soft tyre and just send it. So, yeah, fair enough. Game Boy, set of softs now. Andy Wu. He might snag a sneaky position here if he's lucky. Game Boy would like to get out in front of Andy, and he does. So, Andy doesn't move up a place. Game Boy keeps 15th. But yeah, no, this game sucks. It sucks when it does that. Where you select a certain tyre that you want to be fitted on the car, and the game gives you a different set entirely. Great fun. So this should be the final lap of the safety car period as well. Then we'll get back under green flag racing. So we'll have, what, 9 laps to the flag? Yeah, I'm not surprised, Petter, that you did have it on softs the entire time, and the game just puts you on hard tyres. Yeah. I don't get it either. I don't know why the game does it. As I mentioned with my little Imola story, just got through a wet period on a set of mediums, made a mistake, had to come in for damage, and then the game put me on inters when it was dry. So great fun. I love this game. Esports quality video game. Anyway, nothing complaining. Let's get back on the green flag racing. Barmer controls the field. We have the 2 Williams of KD and Rick Dalton behind. So it's going to be an interesting contest at the front of the field. And KD's been caught napping. The gap is already 7/10 between the top 2. Dalton trying to get by, and he will get by pretty easily, so KD lets him through. So it's a battle now between Barmer and Dalton at the front. The top 2 in the championship. Battling it out here at Suzuka. Vermeulen just behind in 4th. KD's probably going to act like a roadblock here. Keep Vermeulen up. Around the sweeper of turn 6 up towards turn 7. There's a sliver of irony in this because Vermeulen asks KD to race. And currently, KD's the only thing stopping Vermeulen from getting a podium. Into the hairpin, turn 11. Vermeulen not close enough. Fistbuster right behind as well. He's going to be very racy on those tyres. Mitch Burns in 6th, then Saints and Lopez. Blade in 9th, then JD. Changing position for 15th as Andy Wu moves up a position around Spoon Curve. JD under a bit of pressure from the Aston behind. Heading towards 130R. Waiamave closing in just a little bit. Not close enough though to attack, I think. Unless he goes for an audacious move here, which he doesn't. Through the chicane. Ooh, JD not the best of runs there. Oh, look at Waiamave. He's right on the back of him. Heading on to the main straightaway. Right on board with the Aston. Using up a fair bit of battery. Doesn't have the momentum though to go for a move. He has to stay behind. But he looks very competitive at the moment. Yellow flags. For some reason, it's Andy Wu. Well, his opportunity to score, I think, has finally disappeared with that mistake. Unless we get another safety car. Mistake at turns 1 and 2. Underneath the bridge, heading towards the hairpin of turn 11. The gap between the top 2 is 0.3 of a second. It is definitely on between Barmer and Dalton. KD is doing a wonderful job acting as a roadblock for his teammate. He's keeping Vermeulen and everyone else behind. And if he can keep 3rd place, then it's a massive boost for Williams in the Constructors' Championship as they're in a fight with McLaren at the top of the board. Up towards 130R. The gap is 4/10. Vermeulen closing in on KD. But you can't pass here. Not through this section. You can try and send in a dive bomb into the chicane. But he doesn't go for the move. He stays behind. The gap's now 1.5 seconds between KD and Dalton. As we now have DRS enabled for the final 7 laps of this Grand Prix. Through turn 1, into turn 2. KD under a little bit of pressure to try and keep those behind. But he's managing very well. As Kitten Petter moves into 13th place on his recovery to try and score something in this race. Oh my word, Waiamave still all over the back of JD. Black, the 3-second time penalty. Yellow flags again. It is Andy Wu again. Oh my word, he's having a horrible day here at Suzuka. Dalton putting a lot of pressure on the back of Barmer. And that's Andy spinning out again. Oh my word, poor fella. Having a horrible day here at Suzuka. Vermoo keeping within half a second of KD. He can remain patient and try and get by down the main straightaway with a bit of ERS as Blacks. Ooh, bit of shuffling going on here in the lower half of the field. KD. Yeah, I don't think he'll be hanging on to position. I also saw that flashing red light at the back of the car, so he's low on battery. Here we go. We're going to see a change for the lead, more than likely. Dalton to the outside. Towards turn one, he gets in front and takes the lead. Barmer, his job now is to stay behind. Keep the fight alive. Vermoo overtakes KD for third place. The gap now 0.3 of a second between the two. And it's going to increase just by a little bit thanks to the dirty air that KD has to put up with. Andy Wu again bringing out yellow flags, this time at 130R. The gap's increased by quite a bit through the opening sector. It's 8-10. Oh, and Vermoo spins! Into the gravel he goes! He's thrown away a podium finish with a simple mistake at turn 7. And I've just seen a bunch of debris fly up into the air. It's Wayamave in the Aston Martin. He's gone off the road at turn 7 and he's destroyed his front wing. Oh dear, oh dear. But Vermoo throwing away what could have been a podium finish with a mistake I think we've all done at turn 7. Just clipped the inside curb and away she went. 7-10 separating the top two. This battle at the front's not over. Barman will close in with DRS, but he needs to set some mega lap times to try and challenge Dalton. We saw in qualifying how quick Dalton was. He's now got clear air to try and push as hard as he can, but Barmer has DRS. It's an awfully powerful thing, that flap at the back of the car, and he closes in to within half a second of the race leader. Fistbuster moving into third place now, overtaking KD. Mitch Burns just behind, followed by Saint and Lopez. Then Blade and Blacks. Kit and Petter now back in the top 10, so he can try and score something. KD losing time through this opening sector. Mitch Burns is all over the back of the Williams as Waimave retires in the pit lane. Around turn 7, or Saint has to be careful. He almost touched that inside curve at turn 7. Almost met the same fate as his teammate. Through the Degner curve into turn 9. Oh, as Lopez runs wide. Blade down the inside. Contact between the two. Lopez keeps 7th. Up towards the hairpin now. Saint, will he go for a move? Yes, he does. Down the inside into the hairpin. But Burns, fights back. They're side by side around 200R. Burns has the inside line, so he keeps the position. Saint slots into the slipstream. He's looking to the inside into Spoon Curve, but can't commit to the move. He stays behind in 6th place. Lopez now right behind as well in P7, waiting for his moment to try and strike. It was a nice recovery after he went a little bit wide at the Degner curve. He's kept his P7, only just. Up towards the chicane. No one quite in a position to attack, and that is Vermoo spinning at 200R, bringing out yellow flags just ever so briefly. Mitch with DRS open, he is closing in on KD, who is a sitting duck, down the inside into turn 1, and Mitch is into 4th position. Barmer's lost time. Dalton has started to drive away. The gap's now 1.5 seconds between the top two. Now Barmer can consolidate. He's got a massive lead in the championship at the moment. He's got a 35-point lead over Dalton. So he can back off. He can accept second, minimize the point loss to his main rival Dalton. I think he might just do that. He's got a healthy margin to Fistbuster. A gap of 6 seconds as Vermoo retires in the pit lane. Mitch Burns He's now got KD behind him. He's been unable to drive away from KD, unlike Fistbuster. So, still a bit of a fight going on here for 4th position. Yellow flags being displayed as I think Eddie has spun again. Yes, he has. Horrible, horrible day for Andy. 1.5 just over 1.5 seconds between the top two. There's just over 5.5 seconds between P2 and 3. Burns, I think he will keep P4 here. KD not really in a position to attack. Through turn 1 into turn 2. Yellow flags being displayed. That's because of Vermouth's AI coming to a stop. Off to the side of the racetrack. It's Saint and Lopez just following behind. Yellow flags out again. That is Andy Wu getting out of the way of the race leaders. He is now a lap down. Slight battle going on for the final point scoring spots as Blade is using all of the racetrack at Degner. Runs a bit wide at turn 9 and loses time to Kitten Petter, who's currently 9th. But he could stand to gain a few positions because the 3 drivers in front of him have penalties. 3 seconds each for Saint, Lopez and Blacks. So if Petter can close in, there's a chance he could score some decent points for himself and Ferrari. KD, he's now outside of that 1 second range to Mitch Burns. So you won't have DRS down the main straight. Saint can take advantage of this. Try and move himself into P5 on track as Blade gets a 3 second time penalty. Down the main straight we go as Andy Wu pits in to try and get out of the way of everybody. Saint doesn't close in by enough though to challenge KD. Through turn 2, heading towards the S section. The gap's 0.3 of a second between these two. Around turn 5, heading towards turn 6. And then turn 7, Dunlop curve. See all the drivers avoiding that inside curve very nicely. Heading towards Degner now. Gap's 0.3. Can Saint pull a move off here? Or KD runs a bit wide. Saint has a run. Will he go for it? No, is the answer. Oh, I think Lopez just hit the back of Saint. They got awfully close. Not sure if there was contact, but they were close. Up towards Spoon now. Around turn 13 and turn 14. Nice aerial shot here, looking down at the racetrack as the drivers head towards 130R. Gap's 0.4. You can see the flashing red lights at the back of a few cars, so a few drivers low on battery. They're running on empty as they head into the chicane, the Casio triangle. Oh, Lopez again closes in deep on the brakes, almost hits the back of the Mercedes-Benz as they head on to the main straightaway for the second last time. Here we go to turn 1. Lopez is close. Not close enough though. Stays behind. Kitten Petter's now on the back of Black, so he's in a position to gain a few spots thanks to penalties. KD still hanging on to 5th. Only just though. There's Mitch Burns in 4th just briefly in the corner of shot. Fistbuster currently P3. He's been on very nice form. He officially got 2nd place last week at Circuit Paul Ricard. He's looking at another podium finish here. Barmer in a comfortable P2 at the moment. The race leaders heading towards Spoon for the final time. Keep a brief eye on this though. This train's battle for 5th position as the leader is now making his way towards 130R. Put the car in pole position with a pretty mega lap. 1 minute 28.2 as Andy Wu brings out yellow flags again. He's been very dominant here at Suzuka. Rick Dalton will take the checkered flag and win the Japanese Grand Prix by 3 seconds over championship leader Barmer 22. Fistbuster will complete the podium places in 3rd. It'll be Mitch Burns and KD. But who finishes in P6? That's the next question. Is it going to be Kitten Petter? It is Kitten Petter. So a decent finish in the end for the Ferrari driver. Not getting any penalties. He's made up 7 spots over the course of this Grand Prix. Recovered quite well. KD making up 7 spots as well. Making up the most spots is Gabri in the Alfa Romeo after disqualifying himself after qualifying with a technical issue. They finished 9th inside the points. So, Kitten Petter given driver of the day. Fair enough, I suppose. Especially after his recovery from that pit stop mix-up. Here are the podium finishers. Rick Dalton taking the win. Barmer in 2nd. And Fistbuster in 3rd. And all 3 drivers have the same avatar as well. There we are. An interesting race here at Suzuka. So, Dalton wins with fastest lap as well. So it's an 8-point swing for Dalton in the championship. So that shrinks the gap from 35 points to 27 heading into the next round. Last spot on the podium goes to Fistbuster. 2nd podium in a row. Fistbuster looking pretty competitive out there today. Mitch Burns finishing P4, followed by KD in 5th. So a solid points haul for Williams. They'll close the gap on McLaren in the Constructors' Championship. Kitten Petter, our driver of the day, finishing P6, then Saint P7. Lopez P8, Gabri in 9th, and Blacks completes the top 10. Outside of the point scoring places, we have JD, followed by Blade, Elite Game Boy, Andy Wu, who had a really bad day in the office. Alfina finisher in 14th. Then we have Vermu, Wayamave, Cameron, and Latifi not finishing. Red Bull scoring nothing this race here at Suzuka. Honda will not be pleased. So, I reckon that race at Suzuka is probably as good as it gets. Don't get me wrong, there can be some very interesting racing at Suzuka, but it's very, very tough to pass. It's very, very tough to battle side by side here. So, I think what we got was pretty good for Suzuka quality. No, I understand your frustration, Petter. What could have been if it weren't for that pit stop kerfuffle. But unfortunately, this game has plenty of glitches in it, and it can't help but show them off every so often. It's great. Top quality. Top notch. Really looking forward to F1 22 and encountering all the new bugs in the next game, because that's going to be fun, isn't it? But I think with a fairly interesting race over, it's time for us to end the stream. Until next time, I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you all so much for watching. And we'll see you next week for round 12 of the AM1 Championship at Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache for the Brazilian Grand Prix. That race, I reckon, is going to be a lot of fun. For me personally, Interlagos is the best racetrack on any F1 game. It just creates interesting racing. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to next week. But until then, it's goodbye.